Carrie Adams, and you're listening to Carrie's Connoisseurs, coming to you from Solid Gold Podcasts. Here we talk to the movers and shakers, the drinkers, the dreamers, and all the people who make it happen in the liquor and luxury industries from around the world. Good morning, everybody. Today in my studio, I've got Miles Mossop. You can see, I don't have to tell you he's gorgeous. I don't have to tell you he's one of my favorites because you know he is. Miles, thank you for coming in to Carrie's Connoisseurs.
Oh, absolute pleasure, Carrie. Thank you.
I don't know why you're in Johannesburg because you're never very far from the sea.
Geez, these days I feel like I never get into the sea. I work too hard. I think I haven't surfed since the middle of August. It's tragic.
You could have been surfing in the vineyards from what I gather. I mean, I think Cape Town's been underwater for most of the year, hey?
Yeah, we've had a crazy winter. A good one in the sense of real great cold units and a lot of rain, a lot of rainfall, and not just Stellenbosch where I'm based, but places like the Swartland where they generally get very low rainfall. But obviously the two floods we had probably could have done without.
Yeah. Do you think, I mean, Franschhoek is absolutely in its glory from what I can gather. It's just, do you think that that's really bad for the harvest, for the vintage?
No, I don't particularly think so. I think obviously there are pockets and areas where guys have lost vineyards or they've lost topsoil and had massive erosion. That's never good.
Yeah.
But it's quite isolated spots. In general, for the harvest, no, lots of rain and lots of cold is great. And even that late flood that we had now in what was that, 3 weeks ago? I don't think, we had some budding happening and we had some growth happening in the vineyards. But if the disease control was done well and the weed control is being properly handled,
we should be fine.
We'd be fine.
Well, we're not going to worry about it because it's not going to help by worrying anyway. We'll just see what comes of it.
Exactly.
So most of you might remember, Miles, I certainly met you when you first started at Takara.
Yeah, in 2000.
Because you were Takara. I mean, he was there for 20 odd years, I think. And you just are synonymous with Takara. You will always be. And established that one with GT Ferreira. And it's gone on, as you know, to just be one of our culty type wines in South Africa. It's a beautiful property and it's beautiful wine. But you also, in about 2004-05, established your own label. Yeah. Your Miles Mossop label, Miles Mossop Wines, I think it's called, hey? And that's what we're going to talk about today because Miles, when did you go on your own? About 5 or 6 years ago?
2018, 1 June 2018, so 5 years ago now.
Yeah. So that's a big, brave leap. Especially when you've had somebody like GT Ferreira looking after your bank account for you every month. And then all of a sudden you don't have GT Ferreira paying you every month. And you've got to do your own thing and you've got to buy your own barrels and you've got to... Where? How? What? I know that you live quite close by to Takara. Do you still stay there?
Yeah, we live on a small holding, about 1.8 hectares.
But you don't have a vine on your farm?
No, it's not a viable place to plant vineyards and grow grapes. I still continue to contract grapes in from outside growers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where are the bulk of your vineyards?
She's spread quite far and wide. Initially, when I started, my wines were all pretty much based from Stellenbosch, although there was a small bit of Viognier that went into the Saskia, which was from the Swartland. More so, the Saskia has now become 100% Swartland. So that's Paardeberg, which is Malmesbury side of the Swartland, pretty much close to the likes of Aardiebaard, Norton, Ebensadi, and David and Nadia. And then I get a little bit of Cinsault from a similar area. And then the rest of my grapes are all from Stellenbosch, for the Max, the Sam, the Kika, and then a couple of other wines as well.
It's interesting you say that. So I've got a really nice customer that I do events for. And next week I'm doing a wine tasting for him. And I said to him, he said, give me a couple of topics. What do you think we should be doing? And I said, well, we could do, like Super Tuscan. I sort of think of Super Stellenbosch. So I said, should we do Super Stellenbosch? He said, yeah. And that's in fact why I was talking to Winnie Bowman when you came in this morning, because we were talking about what are our top 6 Super Stellenbosch cabs.
Yeah.
And there's just like so many more of them. You can choose any cab from Stellenbosch really, and it's nice.
Pretty much, yeah, I agree.
I'm
a big fan of Cabernet Sauvignon from Stellenbosch.
Yeah, me too.
I have 3 wines currently that are dominated by Cabernet Sauvignon from Stellenbosch. I'm going to bring out a 4th next year, a straight Stellenbosch Cabernet Sauvignon. So that's a large component of my brand.
Well, that's what we going to talk about. So for those of you who don't know about Miles's wines, you have to know about them because they're really, really good. I remember the first ones that we tasted was the Introduction Red and Introduction White, I think. Or did you make Max first?
No, I made Max and Saskia first because when I started my brand, it was tiny. GT at Takara allowed me to start my brand.
Yeah.
So I wasn't allowed to use Takara's grapes. I had to buy grapes in. And
That's a bit mean.
No.
Why did you tell me? I would have punished him for that.
No, I prefer the separation. I think he did, and it worked out really, really well.
Yeah.
And the first two wines I made was a white blend and a red blend. And at the same time, this is 2004, myself and my wife had started a family. Saskia had been born, Max was on his way, and I wanted to give these two blends names because I think a great blend deserves its own identity and its own name. And for us, it was just logical. We were like, well, we've got these two young children in our lives, dominating everything of our lives.
And still do.
Yeah, they still do. And let's name the wines after the children. And that started the theme of the family range. So
there's a family range from Miles Mossop Wines, and we've got Max, who is your son. And that is a Bordeaux-style blend.
Bordeaux-style blend from Stellenbosch, yes. Dominated by Cabernet Sauvignon. Yeah.
And it is delicious. The last time I tasted it was really delicious. We've got better expletives for that, but we'll keep it tidy in case YouTube gets cross with that. So there's the Max, which is your Bordeaux-style blend. Then you've got Saskia, which is what?
Saskia is what they now term a Cape White blend. So it's a Chenin Blanc dominated white blend with a Claret Blanche, Grenache Blanc, Viognier, and Verdejo in it. So 5 varieties, and that wine is 100% Paderberg, 100% Swartland.
Okay. Part of any of those old vines projects?
There are a lot of old vines in there. The Chenin Blanc in this wine, the oldest block is now 51 years old. The next block is about 43 years old, and then the Claret Blanche is also around 43 years old. It's just the Grenache Blanc, the Viognier, and the Verdejo, which make up, I'm just trying to remember the total percentage, but it's about 30% of the blend are younger vines. So it doesn't qualify as an old vines wine.
Okay, but do we
but
care?
It's majority
we don't
old
really
vines.
care about that. The wine is nice. Then you named one after your gorgeous wife.
Yeah, more recently. So that's the Sam. That's
the Sam, and that's Sam. I had such a fun interview with Tim Atkin actually a little while ago here, and we were talking about all this stuff, and we spoke about you because he likes that wine very, very much.
Yeah, he gave it 97 points.
I know, which is very nice for you. What's in there?
So this is Cabernet. I like to call it a Cabernet Sauvignon, but I do blend in a little bit of Merlot and Cabernet Franc into this. So it's 92% Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay, so it's basically
dominated from 2 blocks in the Polka Drive Stellenbosch, and then there's a little bit of Merlot in there from the Bottleray area, and then again a little bit of Cabernet Franc from the Polka Dry area of Stellenbosch. So it's all Stellenbosch fruit, and it's my flagship red.
Polka Dry area.
Yeah.
It's actually sort of, for me, it's the ugly duckling of the winelands. It's like really not pretty.
Yeah, that and Bottleray are probably like on a par, but they produce beautiful wines.
It's really ugly, and it's got the best soils. I mean, it's producing some absolutely amazing wines.
Yeah, for me, I mean, Helderberg and Simmelsberg are fantastic, and I have used fruit in my wines from there and in the Sam. But they've got those deep red clay-rich soils, and you get a lot of growth, get big yields, and you end up with a more perfume, maybe slightly more herbal character in your Bordeaux varieties. But because the Polka has got those highly decomposed weathered granite soils with a lot of gravel, a lot of sand texture in it, you
delicious.
Get beautiful concentration.
Yeah, it's delicious. Yeah. I was tasting some wines the other day from De Toren. They're just like really classy wines, you know. It's really, but as I say, ugly duckling pylons all over the place, and it looks like flat and marshy and horrible. But it's not really, is it?
Oh, well, you move up on the slopes, and then if you get up on those slopes, which sort of head over towards what we would call Stellenbosch Kloof, which is where Jordan and De Morganson and them are. If you get over those slopes, they're well drained, they've got good exposure, you can see False Bay, so you've got some beautiful sea breezes coming through in the afternoon, so it cools it down slightly. Poorer soil, so you get low yielding vines. Beautiful.
No, it is absolutely gorgeous. So this, Sam, is a bit of a cab type blendy thing.
Yeah.
And then what else have you? Oh, you made one for your father.
Yeah, I did.
I knew your father, not hugely well, but I met him a couple of times, and he was another one of those additive people in the wine industry. He was gorgeous. He loved to get drunk.
He loved a good bottle of wine, and then a good cigar at the end of the day.
Exactly. So we drank a couple of bottles of port together, your father and me, and smoked a few cigars together, and he was lots and lots of fun. Tell us about Miles as a little boy.
I don't know, grew up in Somerset West, always loved my sports, loved my swimming, got into surfing, much to my mother's disgust,
Horror.
because she was worried about my swimming. And then even worse, when I hit high school, I went to high school in Cape Town, boarding school, I found water polo. So that was even worse. Because
We know about the boys in Cape Town and water polo. There's a teacher. There's a certain water polo teacher as well. Did you hear about it?
Yeah, I heard about it. Way after my time.
Yeah, bad luck.
And and I got into water polo, but always loved my surfing, always loved my sport, and had no idea what I wanted to do, as all boys do when they leave school. You know, went to the army, thought that'll occupy me for a year, but it was supposed to be 2 years, and then it was reduced to 1 year. And even came out of the back end of that, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do. Had applied at Stellenbosch University for BCom, and I'd applied at UCT for I think it was called a building science degree.
Yes.
And I had a lot of friends at Stellenbosch, and I thought, well, I'm going to go to that university because it seems like loads of
Much more fun.
Wasted a year there completely. Then
I
came back out and then went and studied a BSc in geology, funny enough.
I know.
Yeah, and graduated as a geologist.
So you went from building science to geology to, you were really a bit confused.
And then I came out of that, and my father said to me, he was involved in the wine industry. It wasn't his business, but he had a small port farm, port producing property in Carlerstorp. And he was very involved in the industry when it comes to journalism and tastings and competitions.
He was very edited.
He used to run the Diners Club Winemaker of the Year competition, he used to run the SAA selection tastings and all that kind of stuff. And then he was the one who suggested me, he said, have you thought about wine? I said, yeah, actually I have. So he said, well, why don't you go back and do that? I said, great, thanks, Dad. He said, but I'm not paying for this one.
Yeah, it's a good antidote. I said the same to Jonathan. You can go and do what you like, but I'm finished paying for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I got involved in the wine industry. And so my father really probably gave me my grounding in the wine industry.
I suppose your geology degree has helped you as far as your soils and things are concerned, because it's all about the soil.
It did give
really,
me 1 year off the degree because it's a basic BSc you start with. So instead of having to do 4 years, I could do 3. And even in my second year, there were a few modules that I didn't have to do.
Yeah.
And then it gave me a good grounding because I'd also done geochemistry. So the chemistry side I was very strong.
What is geochemistry?
It's the chemistry of rocks, how rocks weather, how water and minerals move. Yeah, it's very...
I thought you were going to say the chemistry of rock. I was going to say what, like Freddie Mercury and Rod Stewart. I've never heard about geochemistry before.
Yeah, when I started my geology degree, I was doing a major in geology and in zoology. Because at first I thought I'd be interested more in archaeology. And then I realized, no, that's not really where my interest lies. It lies in the chemistry side. So then I realized if I'm going to work as a geologist, I actually have to do geochemistry. So I had to do a little bit of a rejig in my geology degree. And that gave me a great foundation in the chemistry of soils. And also because I had to do chemistry too at university. With that, but it gave me a huge. I had such a huge advantage when it came to studying wine chemistry because my chemistry was quite advanced. So.
Yeah, it is. Milesy, you had like a little bit of a break between university and Takara. Did you go overseas?
Yeah, I worked some vintages overseas.
Yeah. Where did you go and do?
Yeah, so my final year practical that you have to do as a university student, I did at Thelema. Giles Webb at that point had an interest in spice roots, so I also did part of that harvest with Eben. Met him for the first time there when he was the first winemaker at spice root.
And that was Charles Baker. He's such a visionary.
It was Charles, John Platter, Jabulani, and Giles. Those were the partners, original partners of the spice root.
It was great. And that was Eben's beginnings, hey? And yours, clearly.
Yeah, so I did my first harvest there and at Thelema in 1998. And then when I graduated, I went to Australia. I went to South Australia to a region called Clare, which is north of Adelaide, north of all those famous places like Barossa, McLaren Vale.
Thank God.
And I worked in a winery called Napstein, which was owned by Petaluma. I think it still is. And we focused on...
What did you make Chardonnay?
Oh, they made quite a lot. Chardonnay, they were known for their Rieslings, known for their Shiraz, but they made some great Cabernet Sauvignon as well. Those were the 4 main varieties that we focused on. A little bit of Sauvignon Blanc, a little bit of Gewürztraminer.
And came back, and did you actively look for the job at Takara?
No, so then I actually came back, and then I went on a trip with my father and his and my stepmom Lynn and my brother, and we went and did a little stint tasting at Bordeaux Expo, and then we went to the Loire, and then we went on a barge trip, and so a little bit of a stint there, and then I came back, and then I went off to America, and I worked in Napa Valley.
Did you?
So I worked at a farm called Foniente, which is
I'm
very...
starting to love the wines of Napa, but they're so expensive. You can't buy them.
And the nice thing about Foniente is they were in Napa, Chardonnay, Cabernet Sauvignon, but they were more European in style than they were typical Napa style.
Yeah.
So I had a 4-month harvest there, which was brilliant. I had a great time there. And then while I was there, I was looking for work in the States. I was struggling. I wanted to stay.
Did you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it there. But visas were the issue. South African passport. I had my internship visa, but that wouldn't extend to continued work there. And then I started applying for jobs in South Africa. And my father was the one who said, "Have you heard of G.T. Ferreira?" And I was like, "No."
Who's he?
Who's he? Well, he's building this winery next to Thelema. Oh, that thing. I saw it going up last year. And he said, "Well, Giles is the one hiring." And I'd worked there at Thelema. He said, "Maybe you want to send Giles an email." So I did. And very lucky to have got the job at Takara.
Well, it was a bit of a marriage made in heaven. It was good for both of you, actually. And then, as you said, GT was benevolent enough to allow you to have your own label, which is quite good, because a lot of farm owners don't let that happen. But in your case, it was really, really good, because it gave you the next sort of avenue that you wanted to go down in your life, and that was to have your own sort of a thing.
I think,
So now we've got our family stuff. You made something for your father as well. That's we digressed. That's where we started off. I said you made something for your father. You made him port, didn't you?
Yeah, so when he passed away in 2005, he had the Axial brand, which was quite successful. I think at one stage it was one of the most successful single wines in platters.
It was gorgeous.
So when he passed away, I bottled the last vintage, the 2005 that he made.
Did you?
And then we weren't quite sure what to do with the property and the brand. I knew Lynn, my stepmother, wasn't going to want to run it and continue with it. So while we were deciding and thinking what to do with it, I made the next 3 vintages, 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
And during that time, we made it at Takara. So Lynn would go handle the picking, send it down in a truck, and I would also go visit sometimes to taste in the vineyards to decide when to pick. And then we'd bring it into Takara, bring it down in a cold truck and make it there. GT allowed me to do that. And then in 2008, she started to go through the process of selling the property, the brand. So when I made the last one in 2008, I was a little sad to stop making port. Start having, we'd love to continue with Axial, but it wasn't a commercially viable kind of project.
Did you? No, it wasn't really. I mean, nobody's ever going to make
I couldn't take it over, and firstly, I wouldn't be able to take it over while at Takara. I would have had to leave Takara.
Yeah.
And at that point, it wasn't going to be financially viable for me to do it. So...
What happened to Misty Cliffs? Was it called Misty Cliffs?
Yeah, Misty Cliffs repassed. No, we sold that. We sold that about 5 years after he passed away.
Okay.
That's actually what's the money I got from that is what's putting my children through university.
Okay, good.
I put it into a fund and said that can be Tony's contribution to their.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So yeah, so then in 2018, I was having a casual conversation with Mornay from Delaine. He was telling me about this lovely Touriga National vineyard in the Fora area, which used to be part of the old Bredel property.
Yes.
And he could probably get me some additional fruit. So I said, well, geez, I'd love to make a port again. So I brought out a port. It's a vintage reserve style, so it's quite a serious style. 90 grams of sugar, about 19% alcohol, and we make it very much in the Axial way, foot treading and all that. And I brought it out in 375ml bottles, so a similar size bottle to the Kika, and we call it Tony's Cape Vintage Reserve.
That's very special. Then you've got other wines.
Yeah.
What you've got chapters? Tell me about chapters. What is that?
Yeah, that's the one thing about winemakers is we love to play around with stuff and complicate everything.
My best is Bruce Jack.
Oh yeah.
Brucey Jack, honestly, he needs to write a book. He's got about 2,000 labels. I said, just keep it simple, stupid.
Well, the labels are a book if you just took each one of them.
The customer doesn't know which is which, you know.
No, I think I've got quite nice clarity in my ranges now. So I've got the family range, which is, there's 4 of them here, the Saska, the Max, the Kika, and
let's show everybody. So this is, guys, they're lovely labels as well. I love these labels, and there's a story about these labels.
Yeah, that's my wife's.
Yes,
that's my wife's
her
involvement
contribution.
in the business. Yes.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
Buy this. It's really, really delicious wine. I promise you, I'm going to use it next week. Oh, no, but it's not the cab. I'm going to use that. Is that available in Johannesburg?
Yeah, it is. We just came up actually this week to do the launch of this.
Okay.
So I did a tasting yesterday, and we're showing it around. And
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the Max. That's the family range.
Yeah.
So we've got Max, we've got Saskia, we've got Sam,
Got
we've
Kika,
got your Kika, and we've got your dad.
the Tonys, yes. So that's my flagship range.
Done.
Nice and easy. Then at a price point below that, we have what we call the chapters range, and those are single terroir, single varietal wines. So currently I have 3 chapters, and they all have numbers. This is where it gets a little confusing,
Yes.
but I'm going to drop the numbers so it'll be a little more clear. We have a Swartland Cinsault,
Yes.
which is sort of fresh, crisp, 12.5% alcohol,
Yeah, we
really
love
crunchy. We had it yesterday at lunch, and everyone actually, that's probably what most people drank at
It's
lunch.
delicious.
Yeah. So that's from the Swartland, and that matures in concrete, and we keep it very nice and fresh for 1 year. Then we have a Chenin Blanc from Stellenbosch, old bush vine, registered old vines, planted in 82, fermented in barrels, but mostly older barrels. And it's got nice richness and texture, but again, we keep it nice and fresh. So 13% alcohol.
I'm almost inclined to say that I think I prefer Stellenbosch Chenin to Swartland.
Yeah, so I had a Swartland Chenin in the range, and I have stopped doing it because my preference, I wanted to keep things simple, was the Stellenbosch. But that was just my preference.
know
I
what
do
I think?
love the Swartland Chenin in this blend. In these blends,
Yes.
it works exceptionally well.
That's old, very old vines,
Yeah,
though, isn't
yeah,
it? You said,
yeah,
hey?
yeah.
I was chatting to somebody the other day, and I think what happened long ago was nobody was really very interested in Chenin Blanc other than for brandy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I said to Tim Atkin, actually, I said to
Yeah.
him, I'm sure that the guys at the KWV said, just bugger off to the Swartland or wherever. You know, it's ugly there. No, nobody's going to look at you. It's dry. It's hot. It's terrible. Just go and plant Chenin Blanc there.
I think also because
and we'll use that for the brandy.
It can grow in poor soils and hot climates
and
and
it's
still
so
produce a large
generous,
volume.
yeah, such a generous grape. So, but I honestly do believe that Chenins from Stellenbosch,
Yeah.
if we look at them, the nicest Chenins in the country are from Stellenbosch, I think. We're going to get shot down.
You're gonna get
Inflation.
shot
sorry, Eben. Although, you know what? I don't think Eben makes a Chenin from the Swartland.
No, he's got a new one now called the Rotsbank.
That's right. He's got
Which is a
that
new
one.
And that's from, I know the vineyard.
Yes.
And it is a beautiful old vineyard, and the wine is stunning.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
But yeah,
And I think that the Molyneux make theirs from the Swartland, don't they?
yeah, they're single terroir Chenins are from the Swartland. So they got the Syrah and the single.
We're just a
terroir
bit biased. I think Stellenbosch is wine royalty, full stop.
I live in Stellenbosch.
It is sort of royalty.
I've had my entire career there. So
Yeah. So that's our family. Then we've got these chapters. So at the moment, is chapter 1 the Cinsault?
Cinsault, yes.
What's chapter 2?
That's the Swartland Chenin that I don't do anymore. So you can't have that
Sorry
one.
guys, this is getting very confusing. Okay.
Then we have chapter
So
3.
you can't have chapter 2
Not anymore. Last vintage was 2021.
Chapter 3?
Stellenbosch Chenin Blanc, old vine Chenin Blanc.
That we want.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
What sort of are we paying for those?
They
retailers?
from me 295 direct, and I see them on the shelves between 300 and 325 rand a bottle.
Okay, so
For
that's
those. The chapters are all line priced. Yeah.
okay. Oh, are they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you make money out of line pricing stuff like that?
Yeah, I think so. It works.
I suppose you wouldn't do it if you didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah. Chapter 4?
That is a old vines Sauvignon Blanc.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It seems weird. I was going to drop that because it doesn't make
Old
sense.
vine Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah, so it's a vineyard planted in 86 in Stellenbosch, bush vine vineyard, low yielding, fermented in older barrels, whole bunch pressed,
Okay.
natural ferment wine, and it's a
So
Sauvignon
you
Blanc.
barrel ferment, so it's like a bit of a...
Yeah, Blanc Fumé, but there's
Blanc
no, the
Fumé.
barrels are old. There's no
Yeah.
oak influence, and there's no woody
And
character.
Marzi, where are you making all these wines?
I rent cellar space in the Polka Dry in Stellenbosch.
Do you?
Yeah,
And you make everything in that
everything
same
in
cellar?
that same cellar, yeah.
Okay.
And
And then you also make wine for Les Sweden.
Sweden, yeah.
The
Yeah,
High
the
Road.
the high road.
Should we talk about those?
Yeah.
Or no, I'm going to charge him airtime.
I'll just add it to my bill.
Just
my
add it to your
consulting
bill and we'll go out for lunch. Yeah. What are you doing for Les?
So Les has a brand called the High Road. It's been in existence, I think, almost as long as my brand. Maybe 2003 was the first vintage. He focuses very much on Bordeaux varietals, Cabernet-dominated Bordeaux varietals from Stellenbosch. The cellar is based in an area called Bosmans Crossing, so it's a light industrial area in
It's
Stellenbosch.
another pretty place.
Yeah. It's actually is quite a pretty place. There's a lot of development happening there right now with a new college that's gone up there, business Marketing Business College has gone up there. Right next to Dalachia.
Oh, okay.
And that's where we make the wines. And we source the fruit. It's a bit like me, where it's contract grape growers to grow grapes for you.
Yeah.
Source the fruit all from the Helderberg. So it's Helderberg Bordeaux blends, and we make 3 wines. We've got his top-end wine called Director Reserve, which is Cabernet Sauvignon, typical left bank style Bordeaux blend. Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot, Cabernet Franc Petit Verdot. And then we make a Classique, which is his, I would like to call it more right bank or Merlot-dominated style Bordeaux blend, which is again Merlot and Cab Sauv, again Cabernet Franc Petit Verdot and sometimes Malbec. And then he makes a straight Cabernet Sauvignon from Stellenbosch.
And you make all those wines for him?
I make all those wines for him in that cellar. Yeah.
So you're a busy boy at harvest time.
Keeps me very busy.
Do
but
you
at least
have anybody to help you in your cellar?
I've got a young gentleman who helps me. So the cellar where I rent space, there is staff, there's equipment and everything's there. I do have a young guy by the name of Chaldwin who works for me, and he will help me out during harvest to do, because we pretty much do everything with the help of the staff in the cellar.
It's a bit hectic because you've got vineyards all over the place.
Yeah,
and you've got to schlep all that stuff. You've got to go from one vineyard to the next to see when it's ready to pick.
Yeah, and
then you've got to harvest the shit. Then you've got to get it into that cellar.
Yeah.
And you're making like quite a lot of different wines,
yeah.
Hey?
Yeah, so then I have, but the thing with Les's wine, it's made in a cellar where it is fully equipped, fully staffed. And I don't need to get too hands on there.
Yeah.
I can literally walk in, taste the tanks, give instructions, write it down, walk out, and I know the work will get done.
Okay,
so it's done in a very efficient manner.
Yeah.
So
it would be. I think Les was an insurance man.
Yeah, he was.
Wasn't he?
Yeah. That's where he started his business. Yeah.
You obviously make a lot more money in insurance than you do in wine farming, because there's a couple of insurance people who've made quite a lot of money, if you think of it.
Yeah. And then they get a wine farm.
Dostane.
Yeah. Wendy. And the Enthovens with
Enthovens, yeah. It's true. That's it. We should have gone into insurance, but anyway. So we've got the chapters, the 4 chapters, one of which we can't get anymore. So there's actually only 3 chapters.
But I'm going to bring out a 4th. It's going to be a Stellenbosch Cabernet Sauvignon.
Oh.
So that's going to complete the range. 4 wines: Cinsault, Stellenbosch Chenin Blanc, Stellenbosch Sauvignon Blanc, and a Cabernet Sauvignon from Stellenbosch.
Then do you still do your introduction red and white?
Yeah. So then that's the next tier, if you want to call it that, below in price point.
Yeah.
And the white is a Chenin Blanc, and we make it in quite a fresh, fruit-driven style, but I do ferment some in barrels, so we get some nice complexity and richness in the wine. And that is actually a combination of Stellenbosch and a little bit of Swartland fruit. And then I make the introduction red, which is a Cabernet Sauvignon-dominated blend with some Cinsault in it.
It is such unbelievably good value for money wine. If you're having a party, introduction red and white are the 2 ones that you need to have, and they are readily available in Johannesburg. I know they are at Norman Goodfellows.
Yeah.
And if you feel like spoiling yourself just a teensy bit more, then you just take a few more steps up the ladder, hey?
Exactly.
Miles, what of your children? They don't want to come and take over your business?
At the moment, none interested. My hope is now resting on Kika, the youngest. She's 15. She seems to be the most eager to try some wine at the table. She's the most creative.
Is she?
Of all the children.
Because you do need to be creative.
She's the most probably gregarious as well. Saskia might challenge her there, but you need to have a certain amount of personality to sell the wine at the end of the day. So she has shown some interest. Saskia, who's the eldest, who's studying business, amazing academic, achieving the highest results at university, is only interested in running business and making money. But she's now dating a winemaker who, funny enough, also surfs.
Oh, really?
Her mother, I think, is
she's got a bit of a father complex.
Perhaps, I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. What have you done?
So maybe there's hope. Who knows? Maybe one day he comes into the business.
Well, she can run the business and he can make the wine.
And I can go surfing.
And you can go surfing.
Max,
are you still going to surf when you're 153?
I plan to surf until I cannot stand up anymore on a board. And then I'll probably sup, because then I just have to stand up.
Have you ever been bitten by anything?
No.
Not caught by a shark or anything?
No. I've had sharks swim around me. I've had sharks in the water with me. I've never been in the water when someone's been attacked or been properly charged or had any incident, but I have seen them in the water with me, yes. Sometimes they haven't been great whites, but I have had, on one occasion, I had one really big great white swimming around us.
Of
yeah, that wasn't fun.
I don't do anything that doesn't have eyelashes. So
That's maybe a good policy.
You think, if you do zoology, they teach you all those genuses, and there's certain sort of species and they classify them. And I think there needs to be an eyelashless.
Well, there's
one.
pretty much mammals excluding whales. I don't know, do whales and dolphins have eyelashes? I'm not sure.
They don't.
Seals.
I don't think they have. But if you think of the things without eyelashes, sharks, snakes, lizards,
spiders,
tortoises. Spiders have got eyelashes. They're quite nice.
Oh, you like spiders, okay.
They've got eyelashes. Cypriots, they don't have eyelashes. They're very reptilian. I'm only joking. But anything mostly without eyelashes is not to be recommended. The sea, did you grow up on the beach? Why your huge love for the sea? Where did it come
from? Through my parents, both of them. I grew up in Somerset West, so not on the beach, but very close to Strand. My father used to surf in his younger days, but then he stopped surfing and he took up kayaking, but in the sea, and then he took up paddle skiing, actually. So he was a paddle skier. My mother grew up in Durban and was always a great swimmer and always hung out. And then she went, when they moved to Cape Town, she went to Ellerslie in Sea Point. And so she always hung around the lifeguards and the surfers, and that was her thing. I think that's how she met my father. So she was always a big beach. She was always a great swimmer and loved to body surf, and so she was always at the sea. And we always went on holiday to the sea. I mean, if we weren't up the west coast diving crayfish with the friends or staying in Langebaan, but going to the beach, we were going to. We would spend a lot of our holidays, especially in January. We'd spend a lot of holidays in Plet, and that's where I learned to surf.
So life was tough.
Yeah. No.
By the sound of things.
So I learned to surf.
Really tough
I learned to surf. I learned to surf in, I think my mother says probably when I was 6 or 7 years old on one of those holidays in
Plet.
And then I got hooked.
That's where there's lots of sharks. I had a house in Plet for a long time. And every year there's a granny or a grandpa or somebody who goes swimming and gets caught by that Robert Express.
We used to swim on BI Beach, which is Hobie Beach, which is now Central Beach.
Yeah.
We used to, in the mornings, we would swim out the blinders and around the blinders and back as kids.
It's hectic.
I mean, I would never do that now.
No.
Jeez. Oh, actually, barely. I don't think I'd even get in the water.
There's that great white that sort of hangs around Robberg there.
Yeah. I think they've identified 3 or 5 of them now.
Well, I mean, it's like 35 years on or so. So I don't know, how long does a shark live? About 10?
That length? No,
50?
No, they get...
Do they go that old?
Yeah, and they don't stop growing.
Really? Do they keep growing?
Yeah.
It's a bit like the female species as well. We also just keep growing.
No, God.
Yeah, you better shut up, otherwise all those women who love you are going to say, we don't anymore. Yeah, they used to, and there's massive, not a colony, what's it, a what of sharks, a pod of sharks, I don't know what, it's a pod of whales.
I don't know what it is.
Hammerheads in Plet,
I've
lots
surfed with them.
Lots of hammerheads.
I've surfed them, especially at what they call the wreck, which is in the corner there, Robert.
Yeah. So aside from surfing, I know what we were going to talk about quickly. I want you to tell everybody about your labels.
Yes.
Because Sam does your labels.
Sam does my labels,
beautiful.
yes.
Is she an artist by trade?
No, she's not, but she is very artistic and very creative. She is a interior decorator and designer based in Stellenbosch. She does mostly private homes, but she's done some commercial stuff as well. But she has, if you came to my house, you would see. She has an amazing feel for color, texture. Her favorite thing are fabrics.
I also love fabrics.
But her other favorite thing are flowers. So we have a large property. We're very blessed to have that property, and we have essentially a very large garden. And my wife is always busy when she's not busy with her business. She's in a garden.
Sounds like I would.
And she's always planting flowers, and she's always picking flowers. And every week we get fresh flowers. Every single house. I mean, our house is just full of flowers.
Oh,
so when it came to the labels,
special.
I was going to do a very simple, minimalist, just Max. Nothing else on the front label, some information on the back label. And I showed this concept to my wife, and she just said, no, we need to draw someone to the label. We need color. And the concept came up with flowers.
Pretty, isn't it? And it's just...
Yeah, we were up the West Coast in flower season, and obviously there are not a lot of poppies there, but there are sometimes in the dunes, there's some endemic poppies. And we were having a fantastic time.
There's those little red wild poppies that they've got.
You get those little purple ones as well.
Yeah.
And my wife said, no, we need to put flowers on because it's the children, spring, poppies, new beginning, new life. And that's how the concept came. And the labels have changed a little bit over the time, but all of them have the poppies on the labels.
Yeah, I know. They really are beautiful. aside from winemaking and surfing, what else do you do?
Funny enough, I got back into playing water polo quite recently. I used to play a lot of water polo at school and university, and then university finished and I just stopped. And then my children started finding a love for the sport. And my wife suddenly saw a different, like I'd go watch rugby and cricket and hockey and netball. And I would like just be like a very, I would be one of those parents who wouldn't be involved.
Too involved, yeah.
As soon as they found me next to a water polo pool, I was screaming at the ref and shouting. And my wife said to me, I can't sit with you.
I'm not coming with you anymore.
You need to do something about this. Either you coach or something. And I said, no, you know what? I'm going to start playing again. So I play water polo.
Okay,
I love it.
Good.
And I swim to keep fit for surfing. And the other thing, kite surfing with my son. I taught him how to kite surf for the last few years. So we'll kite surf a bit together. And I like fishing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so again, all the water.
Water
I try to get into mountain biking because I live in the mountains. And the bike, eventually my wife just said, geez, look at that bike. It's just get rid of it. Yeah. So I sold it this year.
And you know, people have very bad accidents. So did you buy another surfboard? They have bad accidents on those bicycles. I have a friend who pretty much had to have like a whole like hip and leg reconstruction.
Yeah,
He
I've
fell
got a friend
off
who
his
broke his
bicycle.
neck.
No, it's not worth it.
No.
My bicycle hangs on a hook in my garage.
That's what mine was doing, gathering dust.
Been there for about 200 years. Yeah. What is your favorite wine out of your lineup of wines? I know it's a horrible question, but just pick one. It can be changed tomorrow.
It would be this. It would be the same.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it the same?
Yeah. It's my flagship. It's our most expensive wine. It's probably the one that's it gets the highest accolades. Although this one often gets consistently gets great ratings.
You make great sticky wine. You always have.
Yeah,
I think it came from your father's genes.
Yeah, perhaps. I've always loved stickies. When we had the first two children, and I already pretty much had the wines, so it was just allocating the kids' names to the wines. When it came to Kika being born in 2008, she was born. I had to come up with a new wine. A lot of people say, "Oh, you got a white and a red. You have to have a rosé, or what about a bubbles?" Long think about it. I was like, you know what? We make great sweet wines in Africa.
We do.
And I'd been making some at Takara already, Sauvignon Blanc from their vineyards out in Elgin. And I was like, no, Chenin Blanc makes great sweet wines. And I've got Chenin Blanc as one of my
So that
themes.
sticky wine, is it a noble late? Or
Noble late, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, so it's quite tricky to make. We have to
And
go into
do you inoculate for botrytis, or does it just happen?
So we've got to wait.
Okay.
So there are vintages where I've skipped, where I haven't got botrytis. So this is the 2023. The previous vintage that I produced was 2021. We didn't make it 2022. So that was a bit of a disaster because I had no stock for 4 months.
I'm sure you don't make too many bottles, hey?
2,900 half bottels.
No, it's not a hell of a lot of wine, hey?
Yeah.
Marzi, where's your biggest market? Are you exporting your wines?
Germany and the UK, they're always asking who's bigger now, because there's like a little competition between them, which is great. Germany and the UK are my two biggest markets.
Yeah.
South Africa is my biggest market, but in export terms,
Yes,
Germany and UK make up probably
Yes.
equivalent to what I sell in South Africa.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a nice balance,
Yeah.
actually.
No, it's good to have a good domestic market.
Well,
it really
you've
is.
got to have a reasonable domestic market, but with the exchange rate such as it is, I mean, who wants a local market? You don't.
Yeah,
Sell
so
it all overseas.
Nice to hedge a little bit.
You've got another few years of university to pay for.
So I keep coming up with new wines.
What are we going to eat with the Sam? So we've decided this is our favorite.
So
what are we going to cook with it?
This for me, so with the Max, which is the Bordeaux blend, I would be looking more at like lamb, maybe veal. With this, you're definitely looking at probably more than likely beef. Or an oxtail stew. Lamb shank could work pretty well with it as well.
So something big and
generally,
rich and
maybe not something on a hot day like today, but I'm sure we could find. Then, if you're looking for vegetarian options, then it would be something like a
we don't want vegetarian.
It would be
options.
like a moussaka or something like that.
We don't do veg. It's like showering with a raincoat on. Why would you even get in the shower? Why would you bother to eat if you're not going to have something nice on your plate?
That's generally my approach. I do have a vegetarian for a daughter. A daughter for a vegetarian.
Laugh because you farmer boys are all so funny, and your vegetarian option is chicken.
Chicken, exactly. And then we'd have.
Oh, Marzi, your wine is gorgeous. Thank you for coming to see me.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time.
We can get this everywhere. It's all over in South Africa.
Yep.
It starts off, I'm trying to think what the entry-level pricing for the introduction red and white is. It's under 100 Rand, or is it just over 100?
No, it's now in the region of
120
150.
Is it 150?
Yeah.
It's still fine.
Yeah.
And they go up to, what's the Sam at this
Just
stage?
around 1,000 Rand a bottle.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. So you can choose. You can have something entry-level, something medium, like a real Goldilocks.
Yeah.
Small, medium, large. And they are absolutely delicious. I promise you, just as delicious as you are. You're still so cute. We loved having you, and we will put all of this into my newsletter and stuff, and maybe I'll see if I can make a plan with Terry, see if we can put some of the wines into the little Solid Gold online shop for a
Fantastic.
bit, see if we can sell some for you.
That'll be awesome. Thank you.
They're so delicious, guys. I really do urge you to try some. Thank you so much.
No, thanks for the opportunity. It was awesome.
Cheers.
Another production from Solid Gold Podcasts.